Hello folks, and welcome to another video. I hope this one does find you well. Isn't that a lovely way to start a video? Hey, the sun rises in the east. We've got a beautiful aeroplane filling our screen. Scattered clouds, light-ish winds. That's not a bad way to start a video. If you're a recent subscriber to this channel, thank you. Welcome aboard. I hope that your stay here is enjoyable, and appreciate the support that everyone provides to the old man on this channel. As I've said quite a few times over the years, this channel doesn't get that many views, but the views are all quality because you make them so thank you folks. Now, what have I got for you this morning? I guess this is a Modders Monday episode. Ostensibly, that's a big word to use this time of the day. Ostensibly, it gives me an opportunity to fly one of my favourite aeroplanes in the sim. I know I don't speak of an FA-18 or that little thing. What's that? The Stoll something? What's that bird? Can't remember. And it's certainly not going to be the Cessna 172. I speak of the beautiful business jet that's on your screen, resplendent in the Four Seasons livery. Hey, that's all right. It's a purplish livery. The light kind of doesn't really show that at this time, but it will. Trust me. This video is sponsored by the good folk there at Four Seasons. I wish. I can't even afford to look at a Four Seasons hotel. Let alone stay at one, and there is not a chance in hell that anyone from the Four Seasons organisation would want to sponsor one of these videos. There is no sponsorship here on the channel, folks. There's no press copies. There's none of that at all. What you get on this channel is just raw. Pay for everything myself, and boy do I pay. And you guys probably pay in terms of your decreased sanity as a result of watching. Anyway, the Four Seasons livery, folks, gives me an opportunity to fly it. Haven't done so. Picked it up on the TO a while back and thought, there'll come a day, there'll come a video where I get to use this one. Four Seasons really has absolutely nothing to do with where we are or where we're going. I mentioned this will be a Modders Monday episode. I'm actually going to look at some checklist functionality that's available for this aircraft and others in the sim. I haven't looked at it, as you know, long-term viewers of the channel will know. Checklists and I, well, we don't really get along. We've agreed to see other people. So it'll be interesting. I'll kind of explore the functionality without actually, following the checklist, folks. So if that's all right with you, stick around. We've got a longish flight that's going to be quite a bit shorter than it otherwise would be. I'll explain that by showing you the flight plan. And here is said flight plan. We are down in the arse end of the world today, folks. Down off the southern coast of Australia, out in the over the Bight and into the Great Southern Ocean. And 99% of the journey is going to be over water today. And there's a reason that we're down here today. I'll get to that in a minute. But first of all, we begin our journey in a little place that, well, most of you viewing this probably haven't heard of. Albany, Western Australia. And there'd be a lot of Australians who have not heard of Albany, Western Australia either, because that's not how you pronounce it. It's Albany. I just felt like saying Albany. It's my video. It's my party. I'll cry if I want to. Albany, Western Australia. Shout out to anyone who hails from that part of the world. And then we're going to spend the best part of about 2.5 hours in the Longy over the deep blue stuff in the Great Australian Bight and down here into the Great Southern Ocean, which is this bit down here. BIGHT. That's not incorrect, folks. Hey, this is the educational element of the video. I do occasionally throw in some learning. BIGHT is correct, is valid in this context. Those of you might be thinking, yeah, Australians, how stupid are you? You can't even spell a simple word like bite. Well, actually, we can. and we spell it correctly in this context. So there. Anyway, basically going to be following a handful of waypoints which I've chosen. When Little Nav Map did its calculation of this flight plan, it sort of had me up closer to the mainland, right? It had me up here doing airways and shit. I don't want to do airways and shit today. I actually want to take advantage of a jet stream that is absolutely howling in this part of the world at the moment, causing some real issues. We've got some funky weather happening in this country at this time. Warmest end to winter that I think I can recall. Records being broken all over the place. But anyway, there's a really funky jet stream blowing, which I can probably represent to some extent by doing this. Look at that. Lots of barbs, right? Now, there's barbs. The map is absolutely covered in barbs. So we're going to have some serious bloody wind up the date, right? Now, to the point, I'll just turn that off because that may bring on a seizure in some people. No wind barbs, so it'll be barbless. Now, tailwind over here on the left-hand side, look at that. We're going to have up to 144 up the date. So our ground speed's going to be bloody impressive. That's why we're down here, folks, because the winds are howling. And we can do this trip of almost 1,400 nautical miles in about 2.5 hours. That's pretty good going. And it gives me an opportunity to fly the longie and have a look at this checklist mod. So that's the only reason I need. Good enough excuse for me, folks. Let me get us started. Let's go flying. But before we go, let's just have a quick sort of introduction to this mod that really is the focus of the video. If my videos ever really have a focus. The focus of the video through the mod is the checklist mod. Now, let me just quickly introduce myself and therefore you to it. So, looking here at the MFD, this is how I typically have my MFD configured during the before departure segment of my flights, right? This is what I'll have. I'll have the map on the left, so I'll have the MFD split into two panes, left and right. The map on the left, and then the sort of the pre-flight synoptics page here on the right. Okay? And the aircraft does all this stuff auto-magically by itself anyway, but that's how I've got my panes set up. If I want a checklist to appear here instead of the pre-flight, I'll click this button down here on the MFD home screen called checklist, and I get checklists. And if you have a look down here at the control panel, I've got abbreviated procedures. I've got 4 of those, 4 checklists, and then I've got the full set of normal procedures down there, and there's a whole lot of them. Pretty handy, eh? For those of you that like to fly semi-realistically, this could be of use to you. I'm not actually going to follow any of the checklists, folks. I'm going to fly the way I normally fly, which is, some have described badly. Is the right adjective. I just prefer to say I fly my way. Alright? So this is the checklist functionality. Abbreviated procedures before takeoff. So, the knob down here, the dial knob thing down here, is your friend. This controls the checklist. So, if you have a look at my little cursor, it changes to the arrow. If I want to move down the items in the cockpit items panel, so you're looking up here at the MFD while I am sort of manipulating down the bottom here. So I'm going to move through the items like that. You see the highlighted bit moves down, right? Now if I actually want to tick off an item, now it doesn't actually perform the item for me, it just ticks it off. That's essentially what we used to do, old school. Tick it off. You click or press this button. You see how it turns green? And you just move your way through it, doing it like that, right? Standby power, and it'll move itself down automatically for you as you tick things off, right? Battery buttons, whatever that is. Smoke goggles, stowed, who cares? There you go. You can see it. And you can change the checklist obviously down here if I want to go from before takeoff to after takeoff, ice protection, engine dry motor, whatever, cockpit prep. And these checklists are based on the real thing. And you also have the option of sort of quickly checking off the entire checklist. So let me show you that again. Checklist options is your friend. We're going to go there and say, I'm going to check them all. And it checks them all. Go to next checklist. My guess is if I press this, it goes to the next checklist. It does. We move to before start. whatever. Checklist options, we can show all the incomplete ones. Oh, this is going to be a bit confronting for me because it will just show everyone, won't it? You can reset all checklists like that, puts them all back to their default position. Yeah, so that's kind of as far as I want to take it in this video. For now, I'm not going to follow the checklist, as I said. We'll have a look at the page, the mod page on the .to, and that might bring something to my attention that I've forgotten to mention. But be a link to it in the description, folks. It's available for this aircraft and others, and that will become clearer later in the flight when we look at that page. But yeah. Modders Monday episodes, my opportunity to say thank you to our wonderful modding community for making our simulation experience even better. And with all of that said, I'm going to get us started and find a runway to depart from. Alright, runway 14 here at Albany, folks, is our departure runway. The prevailing breeze would tend to suggest that's a reasonable choice in the circumstances. I don't know whether I mentioned that we've got a bit of custom freeware here at Albany. I will link to that in the description. I think we've also got some custom freeware for our destination, so that will be linked to, plus the mod, plus the livery for this aircraft, plus anything else that I happen to remember en route, folks. Links in the description. Synchronise the heading bug and give ourselves a bit more of a zoom. So we've got pretty much a straight out departure here, and then it's going to be a left turn from AL2EF. How would you say that in a cool way? Altuif? Altuif? I don't know. Folks, we're going to be making a left turn, I know that much. So we have flap set, we have trim set, we have landing lights on. We have everything good to go. What I will do is change to a full map here. We've got some weather happening out to the south and to the west, by the looks of it. I don't know, and on our route as well. But nothing to be worried about. What we do know weather-wise is that we're going to have an absolutely howling tailwind, which is always a good thing. Shall we do this thing, folks? Get some juicies. Go, well, auto throttle kicking in. Full juicies now. Away we go. Throttle hold. Airspeed should become alive when I finish this sentence. Eventually. A little bit delayed there, Georgie. Right, accelerating away now. We've got quite a high rotate speed today. Over the hill we go, another hill coming up. We're going to rotate around about here. She'll want to fly, there we go, up into the bars. Safely away, folks. Gear up and all of that. We took off with an absolutely howling tailwind. What's going on there? We'll get our flaps coming up. We'll go into that mode, climb mode. We'll get Georgie engaged. He can nail the bars, as only Georgie can. Nav mode, thank you, sir. And away we go. I thought we had a headwind for our departure. Look at that crab. There we go. Oh, look, that's cool. I think it's cool anyway, folks. But I'm easily pleased. There we go. We should have a left turn coming up, Georgie. And overhead the town of Albany itself. And then a left turn out over the Bight and the Great Southern Ocean on our way towards Wynyard. I'll see you en route, folks. And welcome to flight level 430. Folks, somewhere off the southern coast of WA. We are getting along at a fair old clip. Have a look. Let me zoom in here for you. The breeze is 129 of the best knots you'll find. Pretty much all tailwind for us. We're getting along the ground at just under 600 knots, so we're making pretty bloody good time. We're burning up here, what's that, about 1700 pounds per hour. We've got almost 11,000 on board, so our endurance must be, about that 6 hours, probably enough to get to the bloody west coast of New Zealand. I reckon. We're going all right, but isn't that fantastic to see almost 600 knots ground speed, everything going really, really well. Just thought I'd show you an alternative view of the current weather situation that's happening in this part of the world, in case you weren't aware. Let me flick over to the browser and show you that. And what you're looking at on screen at this time is a website called windy.com. Great weather website, one of my favourites. I'm not exactly a weather nerd, but I do take an interest in the weather, as I feel we all should. It impacts us all in different ways, and it seems to be impacting us more and more in negative ways as time marches on. A little thing called climate change, which might be behind that. But yeah, windy.com, one of my favourites for the way it visually represents weather, different aspects of weather. What you're seeing at the moment is a visual representation of the winds here in Australia at the moment, and you can see that it's blowing a gale, as we saw in Little Nav Map. The magenta represents strong breeze, right? And there are different weather systems at play. A big country like Australia, that's normal. But the way these weather systems are combining at this time of the year is a little bit unusual. Very windy and very warm, unusually so. Some records being broken, or close to being broken, all around the country for heat, which I can switch to a temperature map like that. Alright, so this is live. If I switch or shift the time to, let's say, 3 p.m. today, something like that. What about that? She goes red. Wow. It's like 3/4 of the country's on fire. They're warm temperatures out in the outback, eh? 35, 34 Charleville, 36 at Burke. In winter, folks. We're still in winter, coming to the end of it here. And there's some places here on the east coast as well. I think Sydney's going to get close to a record end of winter as well. Very, very warm here in Australia at the moment, and very windy in parts. Anyway, windy.com, worth checking out. You can easily while away a couple of hours manipulating the visuals to suit you. And it may not be a bad couple of hours to spend. Maybe educational for you. Perhaps more educational than watching an old man pretend to fly a pretend aeroplane. Anyway, speaking of that old man, he'll next join you closer to our destination. Alright, so while I remember it, because I did mention it earlier in the video that I would show you the .to page, and don't say I'm not a man of my word. Some of those words may not make sense. But I do try and hold myself to account, folks. So this is the page. It will be linked to in the description, of course. Version 1.2.0 is current at the time of making this video. I do know there are some people who find one of my videos like a year or two after I make them, and mods have changed, aircraft have changed, and they say, well, I don't see that anymore, or it doesn't work like that anymore. And I'm kind of like, you know, all these videos are a snapshot in time. Okay, so just bear that in mind. 1.2.0, folks. What I wanted to bring your attention to, and mine as well, is the aircraft support. So there are 4 aircraft that this mod will work in at this time, being the TBM 930, love that aeroplane, the Citation Longy, the aeroplane we're flying today, love it, the Vision Jet, oh geez, I love that one as well, and the H Jet, there's just a typo there, the H Jet from Flight FX. I do enjoy that one as well. All the aeroplanes I enjoy flying. Hey, this is a good mod for the old man. So 4 aircraft supported, those that have the G3000 thing, alright? I feel like there are other aeroplanes that do have the G3000, but I could be mistaken. I often am. I won't waste your time while I dig into my memory bank. But anyway, there'll be a link to this page in the description, folks. More than 1,000 people have downloaded this so far. You too can join them via the link in the description. I'll next see you much closer to our destination, as in the approach segment. Hello again, folks. Long time no talk. Well, it feels like a long time. It has been a long time for me. A matter of seconds for you, thanks to the magic of post-production editing. Folks, out the left-hand side, you can see the island of Tasmania, the northwest part of the island of Tasmania, well into our descent at this time, down through, coming down through 11,000. The birds are starting to get anxious, as they well should be, because we're expecting a sporty arrival into Wynyard. The conditions have changed 3 times in about the last half an hour, weather conditions. We've now got a very gusty northwesterly blowing, expecting a crosswind at up to about 20 knots. I don't know what the crosswind limitation here is in the longy, but I'm guessing that we're probably going to exceed it. So this could get real interesting. We need to reduce our rate of descent a little bit and slow down. Now that we're under 10,000 feet, we're busting through the 250 below 10 restriction. What we might do to help us get slowed down is take some speedy brake like so. That will help to reduce that speed. There we go. Alright, got that under control. Down through 9,000, we'll take local Barrow, which is 980. That's low, Barrow. 989. That's a low pressure system. The birds really are expressing their anxiety about this approach. But anyway, I choose to remain calm as best I can. Folks, we'll see you for the concluding stages. Runway 27 is the plan into Wynyard. Alright, concluding stages, folks. Wynyard ahoy. Out there at about an 11 o'clock position, about 8 miles or so to run as we make the turn for home. We've got our speed under control down to 180 knots. Just need to control that rate of descent a little bit. We will eventually line up with the magenta path down to the runway. I'm just not sure how long it will take us to line up. We'll get there eventually, folks. We are helped by the little the visual representation here, the vector or whatever it's called, on the MFD. Been an enjoyable flight. We saw a maximum ground speed of 607 knots. Haven't gone past the 600 mark for a very long time in any sim in any aircraft, so that was nice to see. At 150 knot breeze up there, very nice indeed. We'll take second stage of flap and take gear soonish, down to 170. Looking at a VREF of 120, 122. We're slightly high on the vertical profile. Take another shot. There we go. There's runway 27. Wynyard. The breeze at this time is 44 knots. Looks like it's straight down the strip at this altitude, but we'll see when we get there. Magenta intercepted, 160 knots, 1,700 feet. Gear to come and another stage of flap. So while I was flying and you weren't watching the video because I wasn't filming it, just reflecting on the fact that this Sunday's Father's Day here in Australia. I know it happens in different parts of the world, different dates in different parts of the world as I take gear, but here in Australia, Sunday is Father's Day. Just a special shout out to all the dads out there and the dads to be. I am a dad of a few humans and a lot more animals, and probably the hardest job in the world, hardest thing I've ever done is being a dad. But the most rewarding and the most important. Shout out to all the fellow dads out there. I hope you have a lovely day on Sunday and spoiled accordingly. You deserve it. Now we're on final hit, runway 27, folks. We've got 33 knots on the nose, down to 150. Fully configured now. We start to think about our final checks, which fingers crossed, sphincter's nice and tight. Our flaps are set and our gear is down. Getting a little bit of stuttering here over a golf course by the looks of it. Getting a little bit low. We're going to get some shear here. A little bit more juicy to get us through. That shear is quite significant actually, just jumped about 15 knots. Straight down the strip though, 34 knots. I'll take that. Wow, look at that airspeed jumping around. Oh, this is good fun. Nice way to end this flight. And the arse just drops out of us. Here we go. Short final, runway 27 Wynyard, folks. He's working for his money here. Oh, Jesus. So happy to bloody plant this on the strip somewhere.
50.
Oh, we're going to float it out a bit too. Get on, you bastard. Get on. Get on. We're on. Into reverse. Well, we planted on the centre line, eventually. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wynyard, Tasmania. Thank you for your company in another flight, folks. Your support is always appreciated. Until we next meet, you stay well, enjoy your simming, and bye for now.